boast that I've been writing poetry all my life, or I've been keeping a journal all my life. I can't boast of any of that. But what I can boast of when people ask about poetry or the love of it is that I certainly have been reading all my life. I'm a book collector. I'm an avid reader. I've been reading since I could read. And my mother was the type of mother that just kept books around us, and we were always reading. And I was just amazed at where reading could take you. You can go anywhere. You mind closing that door for me? You could go anywhere. And this collection, And the Moon Never Moves, is where I'll be reading from. And it kind of talks about where I'm from. This very small town in Dania, Florida, South Florida. So we're in between Pompano, maybe about 20 miles north of South Beach. So everybody's familiar with South Beach, right? So we're about 20 miles north of that. So I grew up in this small town where I didn't see too many people that were doing anything that I thought that I wanted to do with my life. So I moved here. Here I am. Call myself moving up north to have a better life. I don't know if it got better, but it did open me up to some new experiences. So let me read from, and I guess to set the stage, I'm going to read the prologue. And you have two from this collection, and I think two. How much?
He sent me 3.
3? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Black Tomatoes, the prologue. The tomato capital of the world had gone black. Black folks from Mississippi, Georgia, and Alabama had come to work in the tomato patches of Dania, Florida. It was a lush tropical paradise, 7 square miles of the Garden of Eden reborn in the 20th century. This rural town of swampland and tomato patches was converted into a new neighborhood. Sharecroppers and displaced black folks were looking for jobs in the canning factory. This was when the civil rights movement was still sleeping in the womb of black America. They built their own little segregated haven, Sugar Hill. Nobody had to hold their breath anymore, wondering if God would multiply a loaf of bread shared between families crouched on the floor in wooden shacks. They had brick homes with fences and windows that opened to the aroma of gardenia and cherry bushes. Trees were planted on their land: mango, coconut, grapefruit, guava, mulberry, orange, and palm tree. Then one day, the tomato capital of the world had gone black. Black tomatoes, as black as the people who had harvested them, started bursting through the soil. Shit was poisoning the soil. It was like when Master had sex with one of the slave girls. Her skin, as black as tar, pushed children with blue eyes and blonde hair out of her womb. It was all her fault. It was all their fault, too. The black folks in Sugar Hill had taken away Dania's capitalism. The wall of Jericho was drawn around the city. Blacks lived on one side of the track and the whites on the other. But they were in their promised land. Unfortunately, it was filled with giants. 5 smooth stones and a slingshot wouldn't be able to slay the dragons of racism. It was inevitable. Sorrow, half-eaten dreams, and dead bodies would soon fill up Sugar Hill Gardens, their final resting place on the edge of town. So that kind of sets the stage for this town that this collection of poetry is about. And the people speaking in this collection, they're all dead. So they're saying things that they would not say alive. So now that they're dead, they're saying. Here's one called I Dream of Ice Cream. Shallow breaths, slow, deep breaths. Inhale and exhale. Oxygen and carbon dioxide. Gas exchanges. My life was preserved. Water leaked from my body. Shadows were tattooed in the dark. I didn't see him. I only heard his breath. I felt like molecules dancing in the stale, musty janitor's closet amidst dirty mops and muddy water. His eyes marked the darkness. He stood above my ponytail. His fingers fondled my vagina, my private pleasure. I wished I had stopped breathing, left my body forever, prayed that death would take me too. Would they be able to tell? Had I been changed in the janitor's closet? Across the street, my grandmother cranked homemade ice cream, salt, ice, cream, and vanilla extract, churned with her hands by a machine that produced small quantities of satisfaction. My siblings ate their scoops when they got home from school. I joined them once I was released from that moment. That night I couldn't sleep. That night I couldn't sleep in the dark. I cried until someone turned on the hallway light. With my eyes, I looked for a way out of this bad dream. Now read Fallen Night, one of the ones that was sent to you. Fallen Night. My brother stuffed his penis down my throat, beating my face with his soggy balls. He told me not to tell Mom. I went into the bathroom and sucked on a bar of soap. He laced up his sneakers and went to play basketball. He acted like what he did was as normal as the Florida sun rising in the morning, except it felt like the stars had fallen from the night and burned my eyes. And by the way, every time I read from this collection, people are always asking me, is it true? Or, well, the last time Megan had me come, one of the students was standing and ready to arrest my brother because she thought I had been molested by my brother, but I had not been. So, in terms of truth, I tell people I write fiction. The truth of it is, it could be anybody in this room's story. It could be anybody's situation. It could be something that anybody has heard. So it's a compilation of different stories I've heard, bits and pieces of my life and other people's life. But once you start to pen a poem, you dispense any idea of reality, because then you're trying to force creation or force an autobiographical story that the poem doesn't want to tell. Does everybody understand that? So it becomes fiction in the sense of, with poetry, you're looking for the sound, you're looking for the rhythm, and whatever words make that happen, you use.